Perfect.
Hi everybody, I am joined with Vanessa, who is going for ethnic diversity senator. So Vanessa, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's absolutely an honor to be here.
Thank you so much for saying that. So Vanessa, do you want to just tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Vanessa, obviously, and I am second year studying law and criminology. I'm the first in my family to get into third level education. I come from a ethnic minority background. We're called the Roma. We're most known by our racial slur called Gypsy, sadly. And what I would like to run for this position because there's a lot of unrepresented voices at Maynooth, and me being from a community that is unrepresented, I think it's a good way to start a new, fresh conversation.
Brilliant. How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Sophie. Caring, passionate, and determined.
Brilliant. So what do you think the role of ethnic diversity senator entails?
The role, well, you need to be able to understand people, and you need to be open-minded when you're in this role, and it's important to have the lived experience, because there's a lot of problems going on the campus to deal with representation and racism. And me being from an ethnic minority background, where racism is quite accepted, and since I was little, a toddler, racism towards me it was not a foreign concept, it was not a foreign concept. And exclusion from conversations, exclusion from activism, exclusion from being accepted in society and not represented is something that I've grown up with. And being an ethnic diversity senator, it's a time for people that are not represented and who there is a lack of awareness of, to promote them. And I since I am an online activist, I've been dealing with online activism online. I am aware of all these different bigger pictures that racism holds, and it's really important to raise awareness to tackle racism and to tackle stigma is through awareness, and to break the boundaries between the minorities and the Irish population on the campus. So I hope that answers the question.
Brilliant. So that's some really information. Sorry, really good information there. I saw on your story earlier on, you pulled up like a poll, and you were asking how much people have learned just throughout your campaign. Nothing like you've talked about things like about other ethnic minorities, and you've talked about your own experience. And I actually have to say I've learned a lot by looking at this. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. No, it is important to educate people on the stuff that are not, promoted and stuff like that.
100%. So, what do you think you can bring to the role?
What can I? Well, I can start a fresh conversation.
Brilliant.
A fresh conversation. I've already started talking to Access Office and started to talk with the Race and Equality Office on ethnic minority groups that were never considered to talk about in the first place. I'm the first one in Maynooth history from my background to run for this position, so it's a refreshing. I'm not bragging whatsoever, but it is a refreshing thing to have, and it is a really lovely opportunity to promote the inclusivity on a wider scale,
Brilliant. So as a second year like your time in Maynooth was kind of like cut short as such, like myself, with the pandemic. But how have you been involved in the university and the Students' Union so far?
Well, Sophie, I'll have to tell you one thing. I wish I had the privilege of saying I felt that I could get involved. Not being represented all my life, and not being where awareness for my culture is next to nothing, and the only way people know you of is by either you're a fortune teller, you know, or by or a thief. It's really discouraging, and it does affect the person's mental health and the will to engage in students' life. And me coming into Maynooth, I was at my lowest time, Sophie. I won't lie. At the beginning, I saw how the racism is accepted and being referred to as by my racial slur on the daily, even by professors, the people that we metaphorically speaking look up to as these shining beacons of knowledge. They're referred to by a racial slur, and not having your society, not having not talking about you, and not raising awareness of the accepted racism that's going on really does push you backwards. It was not until I started to get involved in online activism outside the classroom, myself and these beautiful Romani women all around the globe, we're talking Canada, Romania, Australia, New Zealand, we started this massive new community that never existed. And ever since we created this community online, since I felt that I have a community, at least in a virtual place online, then I started to get involved. It's all about the sense of community. My first time getting involved in any event was in, I think, anti-racism workshop. I think that was called. It was made by the Race and Equality office, and for the first time ever, I went in there and I was like, listen, this and this happened to me.
Yeah.
And this is my experience. This is how I feel. And for the first time ever, people started listening to me and understand me and taking aboard what I said, even though I was the only one and the first one from my community ever to speak up about this issue. And afterwards, a lot of people came up to me like, thank you for educating me, you know, and I didn't know all this stuff, you know. And sadly, coronavirus came, and, you know, it did cut back on me being engaged as much as I could in student life.
Oh, brilliant. Like, I just feel like education is like the way forward. People need to understand what people are feeling. It's not just like having a joke or having a laugh. Like, it's real people you are hurting at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, it's even like this subtle exclusion, you know, this subtle exclusion and these minor racist jokes, you know, like, oh, you little gypsy, you know. I'm like, okay, but do you know what this word means? Like, you know, and like sometimes people are like, oh, do you want to leave your bag with a little gypsy? Like, she will gypt you, you know, she will steal this from you. It happens way too often than you think, Sophie, you know, and it's just these minor jokes that really do impact person's mental health and cut back from, you know, engaging with student life, because you feel like, what's the point?
I'm so shocked to hear that. Like, like myself, I feel like I've never had an experience like that. I've had friends from many different walks of life, and I've always seen people as like I've seen everybody as equal. So I just could, like, if I was sitting there in a group of people and people were making these sort of comments, I'd be like, are you serious? Like, why? What brings you to want to say those sort of things?
Yeah, no, that's why, like, one of my manifesto point is to invest into restorative measures, you know, to start a conversation, because oftentimes when you punish a person, they get angry at you and they don't know why, you know, they got punished. And oftentimes people don't know what the word gypsy means, you know, and they don't know why some people find these stuff offensive and other not. And when you have a restorative measure, it gives you the opportunity to start a conversation and to tell the person your feelings and stuff like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so well, I've seen the social media approach to this campaign. So do you want to let other people who may not have seen it so far, do you want to tell us a bit about it?
About my social media?
Yeah, about your campaign.
About my campaign. Well, my campaign, honestly, is mostly built about awareness. It's mostly built about awareness, and for me, I don't expect to win. For me, it's more about going out there and showing people that there are different people on the campus that don't have a say. And for my campaign to achieve this awareness, I try to keep it colorful and diverse, because diversity is beautiful and it comes in different shapes and sizes. Sizes and colors, and it's honestly beautiful. It's diverse, so I try to promote diversity through colors. And obviously there are times where you need to be serious on topics like racism, so I tried being serious. But in times like this, in these tough times like coronavirus, you need to have a break. So I tried going on these daily vlogs and ask people how they're doing. I pulled up polls. I tried to encourage mental health as much as I could. I asked people what they want to see. Oftentimes, when you're promoting diversity and awareness, you want to ask people what they want to see and what they want to be educated on. It's really important to promote that too. I also went outside my campaign to promote on a Women's Day, beautiful woman of color that contribute to society.
Yeah.
Who people need to know of. And I also tried to research about the Traveller Ethnicity Day, how it came to be, and how travelers were treated back in the day. I also tried to research from reliable sources domestic violence that different women from diverse backgrounds face, because a lot of times problems like these for a woman of color are cut away from conversations.
Brilliant. So how do you plan on securing the votes of the students within this election?
Sorry?
How do you plan on securing the votes of students within the election?
Encouraging students to vote for this election.
How do you plan on securing the votes?
Securing. Sorry, it's just my internet is lagging. Securing. Well, they can vote whoever they want to vote for. Let me just start off. It's their choice, whoever they want to vote for, and they're free to vote for whoever they want. But as long as people learn something from my campaign, I am more than happy. That's why I put up the poll yesterday, and I was shocked to see how many people learned something from my campaign. And as I said, like, it's not about winning at this point. It's just I'm happy. It's a win-win situation for me regardless, because I met beautiful, wonderful people. I met so many friends, and it's a lifelong experience, you know. But I guess I would, go out, and I wish I could go out and meet people, and greet them with a smile and be like, hey, if you want to start a new conversation, please vote on me, because there are stuff that are being, unspoken of, and it's time to bring them to the front line.
Brilliant. Sorry, I'm actually just losing the questions. Sorry. Do you have any plans or ideas that you'd like to bring forward into the Students' Union if you were to be elected?
Yeah, so one of my biggest ambitious plans, if I get elected, is to have this diversity weeks, where each day of the week will be dedicated to different culture. To not to rush their awareness, to include as much as awareness around their culture and their history, as much as possible. On that day, I'll be collaborating with different universities because Maynooth is part of College Connect program, which consists of DCU, AIT, DKIT, and I think I'm leaving out somebody for sure. I'm sorry about that. But we're gonna go nationwide, and USI is planning to collaborate with me, and because of this, we can go even further and collaborate with Maynooth Town for this event, where there's going to be a lot of stalls with people's traditional foods, and it's going to be flags, there's going to be a lot of traditional music. It's going to be absolutely amazing. That day we're going to have hopefully we're going to have different organizations from to raise awareness about different topics, and there's going to be a lot of activists from different backgrounds to represent the culture, to talk about the culture. I'm also going to be working with I'm going to be also working with USI to promote to have this massive campaign where to report racist incidents, and because oftentimes because this year actually there was increase in social media racism in Maynooth group chats, and I've seen screenshots of students saying nasty stuff about Brazilians, the Roma, about Black Lives Matter, and it was shocking, and I didn't know where to report them myself. And it's important that first years know that this is not acceptable, and the way to promote this is through a massive campaign before they come into university, like, hey, listen, if this happens to you, you need to report here. We need to encourage students to report racist incidents, because only then we can see the bigger picture, the wider problem that exists in Maynooth.
Brilliant. How are you planning to campaign for the students of Maynooth?
For the students, well, engagement, trying to go out there and to really let them know that I am here to not to only promote my culture, but to promote every single culture that is there. When you are an ethnic diversity senator, you are supposed to be a selfless person.
Brilliant.
You are there for everybody. And when you're a senator, as I said, you have to be selfless. You have to promote the campus, the diversity on the campus. And me going out there to different clubs and societies, and to tell them, hey, I'm here for your voice to be heard, because I know how it is not to be heard whatsoever. So hopefully with them relating to me about not being represented and not being heard, they will feel more comfortable. Myself and the Access Office, we're planning to have like a group time with all with travelers and Romani students. Even if I do not get elected, the Access Office contacted me and they want to collaborate with me to have this big a time with travelers and Roma, so they can see that there is encouragement, and that there's no point in hiding. Oftentimes students hide their identity. And it shouldn't be this way on the campus. You shouldn't have to hide your identity in order to fit in. I know how it is, because I used to hide myself in order to have equal treatment and equal rights. But you need to go out and show people that they want to be represented, that you want to represent their voices that are unheard.
That's really interesting. I feel like, especially at university level, like we've been in school for like 14 years. We've been wearing uniforms. We're very conformed to the same thing. And once we get into university, it's like, oh, this is where I can be myself. And some students aren't able to be themselves because they feel like there's going to be a backlash towards it.
Yes, absolutely. You see this with so many students, like students are part of LGBT. Some students have to hide their sexuality in order to make it in this very cis society. and a lot of students have, like myself, I had to hide my ethnicity in order to make it. Like, if I didn't say I'm a Romani here in Ireland, people would consider me to be Spanish, or Italian or something like this. But when I go back Poland, I wear my traditional clothes because of my family lives there, and I'm darker than the Polish population. So people will be, they will stop me in the middle of the road and be like, "Hey, what a beautiful little gypsy you are! Can you tell me my future and stuff like that?" There's so much racism going on that you have to hide your ethnicity in order to have equal treatment. But when you go into university, you see these different people, you see these different cultures and stuff like that, and it's time for students to realize that it is a safe space, and we need to provide them with safe space.
Brilliant. And finally, of my big question for you is, what does this position mean to you?
It means so much, it's something that would bring so much joy to me and my family. I'm not only doing this for myself, but I'm doing this for my younger sister. I don't want her to go through what I have went through. I don't want her to be in that dark time where I was in first year, feeling that there's no representation. I don't want her to feel that there's no point in her engaging in their life. I want her to be represented. I don't want her to be called a thief. I want her to experience normal student life. Coming from a really oppressed and marginalized background, and giving that opportunity of your problem being heard for the first time ever will mean it's a massive milestone in your life, and possibly for the future generation of minute population as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for just talking. I feel like I've even learned so much in the last couple of minutes talking to you. Thank you so much. So we're going to get into some quick fire questions, just let people get to know you on more of a personal level. So, Vanessa, tea or coffee?
Ooh, I used to be a coffee person, right? Oh, I used to love coffee, but these days I cut it down to green tea with honey. Yeah.
Oh, I've never had honey with green tea. Might try it.
I recommend it.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs, definitely. I have a Yorkshire Terrier. His name is Toto. It's like from Wizard of Oz. He's a vicious little creature. It's always the small dogs that are so vicious, aren't they?
Do you have any favorite TV shows?
TV shows. I actually don't. I actually don't.
Are you watching anything with the lockdown? Anything in particular?
I've been watching Crown.
Oh yeah.
I've been watching Crown. It's actually so interesting. I never thought that I will find it interesting whatsoever. But I like historical shows.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Brilliant. Do you have any favorite films?
Legally Blonde.
Oh, I love it.
No cap. I can watch it like 20 times and I'll never get bored. Actually, that's what made me do law.
Yeah.
Literally, it made me do law, and we had mock trial, and I was like, right, this is my time to shine. I'm going in there with a pink suit with my dog. I'm gonna shave him, making him look like Chihuahua, and we're gonna recreate that scene.
I love it. I love it so much. If you could be fluent in any language, what would it be?
Korean.
Oh, very interesting. Haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, no, my sister, she loves K-pop. She loves K-pop, and I've been, kind of converting to K-pop myself, and I started to learn about the culture myself, and I really do love the culture, and I really do want to visit the country one day. So
brilliant. Apple or Android?
Android, Samsung. Since day one.
I'm set in my ways and I'm not doing anything else.
No, literally, I don't care what people say. Android, all the way.
Is a Jaffa cake a cake or a biscuit?
Biscuit.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've had some conflicting results in this question. I've had some people say it's a cake, and we don't stand for that.
I don't understand, how is that cake though? Like, I don't. Where's the correlation?
Yeah. My theory is I could eat 10 Jaffa cakes in one sitting, but I couldn't eat 10 Victoria sponges in one sitting.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Yeah, that's my theory that I'm putting out there, hoping more people will come on my side, but
I will use them myself now. Thank you, Sophie.
do. And finally, have you any unusual nicknames? Wanda. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what's that TV show called in English. I used to watch it in Polish. It's like with the fairy godparents.
Oh yes, yeah. Fairly Odd Parents. That's it.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And a lot of my friends, because I'm so bubbly and I'm so talkative, and I used to love pink, and I used to think that I'm gonna dye my hair pink, and they called me Wanda.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sophie.
Your interview has been so informative. I hope so many people listening, just even to learn stuff. I really, really thank you for coming on and talking to us today.
Thank you for inviting me. It was amazing to be here, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Thanks. Before we go, I just want to say out there that tomorrow is voting day. Please, if you haven't registered to vote, please do it now. Voting is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I know I'll be voting at 8 a.m. I'll be straight on my laptop, ready to vote. And finally, I'd just like to put out a message thanking everybody who's participated in these interviews, who has watched these interviews. Thank you so much for getting involved. Thank you to Kyla, Dermot and Paul for helping me out with the interviews. And yeah, thank you all so much for your participation and your encouragement the whole way through. Vanessa, is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Just to say that thank you to all the candidates. You were amazing. I think I made some lifelong friends along the journey. Please stay safe and sound in these uncertain times. We're coming to an end to Corona, so hang in there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everyone for listening along. Bye.
Bye-bye.